A new study from Stanford University shows that there is a right and wrong way to use AI at work, and spoiler alert, most people are doing it wrong. This study came out earlier this year. There's a nice write-up in the Stanford report here that came out in July. And basically, the study looked at 1,500 workers in the United States, and it broke down exactly what they do with their day. It actually used a government data set that lists all the tasks associated with all kinds of different jobs, everything from a mathematician to a cafeteria worker, and breaks those all down. And they essentially looked at those tasks and asked people to rank how much they would like to hand those tasks off to a computer. Not necessarily taking into account whether the computer could do those things, but just what did people want to automate away. Then they also looked at what can AI do today. So they used data from 52 different AI experts to say, okay, which of these tasks can we reasonably automate using today's technology? And what they found was really, really compelling. So one thing that's really interesting here is that most workers would like for AI to basically free up time for other things. They don't necessarily want it to do their work for them, but they do want it to do the boring parts of their work for them. So the study found that 69.4% of people would like the AI to essentially do things that free up their time to do the stuff that's interesting, compelling, that really requires their expertise. And 46.6% would like it to reduce task repetitiveness. So basically to do things like data entry and stuff like that. They list some things here: rectifying errors in records, scheduling client appointments, etc., the boring parts of the job. They also would like it to improve the quality of their work. And again, this isn't a survey where they essentially said to workers, hey, do you want this to reduce your task repetitiveness? And people said, yeah, sure, that'd be great. No, this is based on looking at the actual things people are doing, what they would like to hand off, and what the AI can reasonably do. So it's a little more robust of an approach than just a survey, where of course people are going to say, yeah, I want AI to do the boring parts. It's revealed through looking at the specific tasks and what can actually be done. Another really interesting thing is that most people don't really want to fully hand things off to the AI. They would rather work in equal partnership with the AI. So that's about 45.2% of people want an equal partnership. 35.6% are okay with giving the AI a bit more leeway, but still being involved in, quote, critical junctures. So maybe the AI goes off and does a bunch of stuff and then comes back and gets your permission before taking some action. And only a very small number of people want the AI to do everything. So again, that's very important. Why? Because most AI companies these days are working on AI agents. The idea there is that you hand off the work to the agent and it does stuff for you without your involvement. And of course, in theory, this could increase productivity, but the Stanford researchers suggest that's not going to work. People aren't going to adopt that because they want to be involved. They don't trust the AI, they like their work, they're doing it for a reason, and so they want to hand off the stuff, again, that's boring and repetitive. Data entry, scheduling appointments, etc., and be able to do the interesting bits themselves. And this is where things get really fascinating. The researchers didn't only look at, okay, what do people want and what can AI do? They also looked at a data set from Y Combinator, which is a big accelerator here in Silicon Valley, and they looked at what kinds of tools are AI companies actually rolling out today. And what they found was that most companies, 41% of companies, and there's actually some more data there too I'll share, but most companies are not focusing on tools that do the right things. Instead, they're focusing on tools that solve problems nobody wanted solved, things that workers don't want to hand off to AI and that AI isn't even good at doing in the first place, or they try to solve things that the AI can do, but that humans would rather do themselves. So maybe that's, for a doctor, diagnosing a medical condition. That's what doctors love to do. It's why they became doctors. They want to do that part themselves, and they probably aren't going to trust an AI to do it. But to continue the example there, doing notes from a patient visit, checking prescriptions to make sure there's no drug interactions, that kind of stuff, most doctors would probably be fine handing off to an AI. They'd probably love to hand that off so they didn't have to do it. Yet, most of the sort of whizzy companies that are raising tons of money in Silicon Valley are not focused on things like medical notes or checking prescriptions, boring stuff like that. They're focused on, can we diagnose cancer with AI? And, of course, they've got a lot of VC money, but it doesn't mean that that's actually going to be adopted in the real world. So again, 41% of the companies that are rolling out tech now are either focused on what they call the low priority or red light zones. They don't share the exact number that are working on this other area. They call the R&D opportunity zone. This is basically things where people would like to hand it off to AI, but the AI just can't do it yet. Things like budgets, preparing budgets. People would love the AI to do that for them, but it's just not up to the task yet. And only a very small minority of things fall into the green light zone, the stuff that AI is good at and that people would like to hand off. So this suggests that there's a lot of opportunity for AI companies if they're willing to focus on probably the more boring parts of people's jobs. People are probably more likely to adopt AI, and they're going to find it more useful and be more willing to pay money for it when it gets rid of the repetitive, kind of boring stuff they don't want to be doing, not necessarily when it tries to, like an agent, replace their work or take away the stuff that they like to do, the stuff that they feel, maybe they're not right about it, but they feel that they're better at doing than the AI itself. So if you're an AI company, maybe roll out a boring tool, something that solves a real-world problem, but that isn't exactly whizzy and interesting. And if you are a worker or a business owner rather than an AI developer, this suggests that you're going to get the most bang from your buck when you work alongside the AI rather than trying to have it replace you, and when you specifically focus in on using it to do the stuff you don't like. So identify the parts of your job that you find boring, that you hate to do, that linger on your to-do list forever. See if you can get AI to solve those problems. And that's where you're going to see the most productivity gain. Not necessarily having it push the boundaries of some new thing that you've never done, but take the boring grunt work off your plate so you can focus on the stuff where you like to do it and you're going to be most interested and engaged and most likely to do well. So that's the conclusion from the study. If you found this interesting, please do like and subscribe. I'll have an article out in Fast Company going into a lot more detail about all of this.